great job, Apple, in getting this. I've been in a lot of seminars, but I've rarely seen something more interactive as this. So thank you for that. So here we are. What are we trying to build in? Driving safety culture through AI. That is the entire theme of this, of my talk here by itself. We've spoken a lot about the human factor itself. Okay, now let me bring you back to a very few basics about the industry. What are the two biggest risks that the industry today faces? Okay, the first risk which you might talk about is ships account for 80% of global trade, yet beneath its vital role lies a grim reality. And what is the reality? It is this, I'm quoting an Alliance 2023 report itself, with the number of oil spills that are happening, the number of shipping incidents that are happening, and the number of marine casualties that have taken place in 2023 itself. Now, what do we attribute this to? Now, being a seafarer myself, the human element is the most important factor leading to this itself. So here is the biggest risk, the human element itself, from a safety perspective and partially from an environment perspective also. Now, the second thing which I wanted to speak about is decarbonization, right? What is the decarbonization reality today? And this, again, I'm going to compliment DNV for this slide here again, is the reality is today is 98% of the fleet is still on fossil fuel here itself. Do we have an alternative right now? It takes an investment of $1.9 trillion till 2050 for this dream to turn into a reality. We need over 3,000 ships to be retrofitted every year till 2050 to live this decarbonization reality itself. And the statistics show that the number of shipyards is reducing. And the maximum was in 2010, where we had something like only 2,100 ships there. So that is the ground reality. Alternative fuels, we all talk about it. How ready are we? How available are they? Do we have the infrastructure for it? So this is the reality, what we want to focus on. But what is the solution? You know, we all know this. Okay, the focus is, like all capital in the maritime industry, the human capital also requires an investment. Done right, the human capital has the potential to create the greatest returns of nearly any asset you may choose to invest in. And in the maritime industry, that investment is your people itself, right? From a safety perspective and from a decarbonization perspective, these are the people who are going to bring in a change. You can protect the life, you can achieve your safety goals, you can achieve your decarbonization goals by bringing in behavioral change, by focusing on the most important element is your seafarer itself. Through two culture changes, on the safety side of it, okay, saving lives, and what we call as a carbon culture itself. How you make sure, does a seafarer today understand what decarbonization is? He doesn't understand that right now. How can we make that a reality? How can you have a chief engineer switch off a generator when it is not required? Because does he understand that? And this can only happen if you close the gap and if you engage the seafarers themselves into this particular act itself, because that is the only way forward. Now, the question is, how are we going to do this, right? Or how have we done this by itself? Now, today, when you talk about artificial intelligence in maritime, the 2024 research estimate is that the AI market is worth a staggering $4.13 million with a 5-year compounded annual growth at 23% itself. Now, again, let's look at the solution. So what did we do? Okay, now I'm standing here in front of you. I said, I'm not going to allow the industry to tell me what I should do. This is a problem today itself. Okay, so we got together and we went ahead and tried to solve this problem itself by engaging the seafarer itself. Now, how do you engage the seafarer? Now, today, when we spoke about the generation which is coming is the Gen Y and the Gen Z itself, right? How can you engage the seafarer through technologies like a software by itself, right? How can you have people? Now, when we talk about risk, right? Risk is not generic, right? Risk is specific to a particular vessel, the kind of trade you want to do this, the kind of route which a vessel is applying on. How do you understand the risk before you want to take care of it? How do you understand? This can only come in by engaging your seafarer. When your seafarer tells you what the risk is, this is where AI comes into the picture and can tell you where that particular risk is. So engagement of seafarer is absolutely essential, not only from a safety perspective, but from a carbon culture perspective also today. How do you make sure that today a seafarer understands the reality of why it is? And how can you go about this? How can you ensure a seafarer today reports about the initiatives he is taking on board the vessel itself with regards to the decarbonization side of things itself? This is very important. So that is why I keep saying is crew engagement is your solution to this. You use your AI tools to collect the data. You use the hands of the seafarers, use their minds, understand what the risk is, and you'll be surprised as to what the data can tell you with regards to that. So use this technology to your benefit itself. Now, another very important aspect is we keep talking about safety, decarbonization, expecting our seafarers to do something about it, right? But what is the carrot for them? Why should they go ahead and do it? Can we make it interesting enough for them to participate in the industry goals by itself? How can we make this fun? How can we engage them? And that is what the industry needs to look at. We need not look at, oh, there is no seafarer participation. No, you have to include it. You have to motivate them to move ahead. You've got to incentivize things for them to participate in your decarbonization and your safety initiatives itself, because your human capital is the most important aspect of the entire value chain itself. So again, I'm emphasizing this. There has to be a carrot today for the seafarers itself, for the human capital to move ahead. Otherwise, they will not. This is the Gen Y, the Gen Z. They are there on board the vessel for a particular reason by itself. Now, let's recap. I'm just going to recap. I don't want to take much time. I think I'll be more involved in the engagement part of it. Just to recap the benefits itself, what does crew engagement lead to? What if you collect the data and use your AI tools, reduces the probability of incidents and accidents itself, reduces cost towards fuel oil consumption. Gentlemen, we've all understood that alternative fuels, we all talk about it, but what is the ground reality? The only way we can bring down the greenhouse gas emissions is by reducing fuel oil consumption. And how are we going to do that? Only when there is a buy-in from the people itself. Of course, reduces carbon footprint, improves productivity. I've been a seafarer myself. You give me a certification, you give me a pat on the back, I do so much more. If you want to do that, this is where you come from. Importance of ESG and sustainability performance, of course, I'm sure Captain Anuj is going to put in more inputs into that at the later conversation, so I'm not going to take his time away. Training seafarers, improving governance. Governance is another very important aspect of it. Today we spoke about bribery here itself. Okay, how are we going to take care of that? Again, by increasing the transparency between the office and your ship, your most important asset, your people itself. And of course, reducing attrition levels, that's another aspect of it. But then again, we are focused on this itself. Now, if I may, I just want to introduce ourselves. We are Greenfield. We are an AI-powered software solutions company based out of Abu Dhabi itself. And well, we are the 50 most innovative startups in 2024. That's about it, gentlemen. I'm not going to take much of your time. Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate your time. Thank you.